Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are unpacking a concept that's, well, it's a little unsettling at first, but ultimately incredibly freeing.
It really is.
We've gone through a stack of sources, everything from psychological studies to philosophical musings, and they all seem to point to this strange, liberating idea that maybe, just maybe, no one is actually watching you.
Not as closely as you think anyway.
Right.
And that's our mission in this deep dive. We want to move past just observing that and really explore the philosophical freedom in it. For you, the listener, we want to understand why shedding that fear of judgment might be the single most empowering insight you can have.
Because it's what allows choice to return to your life.
Exactly. True, authentic choice.
The core observation we found, and this was across all the material, is the sheer weight that so many people carry around.
Oh, it's enormous.
It's this weight of second-guessing, of, hesitation and self-doubt. And the sources show again and again that this pressure isn't based on what actually happened to them.
No, not on reality at all. It's based on the imagined judgment of others.
We're talking about a lifetime of playing to an audience that was, for the most part, completely imaginary.
And this isn't just some quirky feeling, it's a recognized cognitive bias. I mean, many psychological models call this the spotlight effect.
The spotlight effect.
Yeah, it's the tendency for us to just massively overestimate how much other people are noticing our appearance or our behavior or our mistakes. We internalize the sense of being constantly evaluated, and the anxiety from that is just, it's exhausting.
Okay, so let's unpack the mechanics of that. This idea of the mental theater. We walk around convinced the spotlight is on us, right? Casting ourselves as the star of this ongoing, very high-stakes performance.
With a panel of invisible critics scrutinizing every move.
Exactly.
But the irony is what makes it almost funny when you finally see it clearly.
Which is?
That everyone else thinks they are the star. And if they notice you at all, you're usually just part of that background, an extra in the third act of their performance.
Their attention, just like ours, is overwhelmingly focused inward. We need to ground this with an example, something really relatable for you listening. Think back to the most profoundly awkward moments you lived through. Maybe in your 20s or 30s.
Oh, yeah.
A cringeworthy misstep, a social gaffe. You remember every single painful detail, don't you?
I know I do.
Now, try to recall anyone else's profoundly awkward moment from that same time. Do you remember who spilled what? Or who said the wrong thing at that party 10 years ago?
Probably not. Or if you do, it's fuzzy, right? Not vivid.
Exactly. Probably not many, if any. And that's the mechanism of the spotlight effect at work.
Right. While you were consumed with worrying about being watched and judged, everyone around you was in the exact same internal battle.
They were worrying about themselves.
They were too busy with their own script to notice yours, and you were too busy with yours to notice theirs.
So, okay, if the external world isn't really keeping score, where does this hypervigilance come from? Why do we develop this intensely critical internal voice?
Well, it starts early, because as children, we are actually being watched.
Right. Parents, teachers.
Parents, teachers, community leaders, they're the necessary external forces that provide structure. We're taught to behave a certain way, to control ourselves, to fit into a social order, and that external regulation is, it's required for a functioning society.
Sure, structure is good. So where does that healthy external voice become a paralyzing internal critic?
Somewhere along the way, that external accountability, it gets internalized. But it gets internalized without the off switch. We stop needing an actual person in the room to judge us. We start doing the job ourselves. That imagined observer is always there, always ready to whisper the big, paralyzing questions. Don't make a scene. Or the classic, what will people think?
And the sources emphasize this becomes especially hard when we look at older generations.
Oh, absolutely.
They grew up in really traditional times where social expectations were genuinely rigid. Reputation wasn't just feelings, it was currency.
It was everything. Stepping out of line in a tight-knit community had tangible social consequences. You could lose business, your kids could be judged. The stakes were real and they were immediate.
But today, so many people are still carrying around this highly detailed rule book for a game that ended decades ago.
That's a great way to put it. The world changed. The mobility is different. The cost of a mistake has fundamentally changed in large, modern societies.
And this isn't about throwing out basic manners.
No, not at all. That's just essential discernment. But there's a huge gulf between being thoughtful about others and being utterly paralyzed by the fear of imaginary judgment.
And that paralysis has an enormous cost. We spend an incredible amount of energy just managing other people's potential perception.
All day, every day.
We preemptively edit our stories, we adjust how we dress, curate our lives online, all for what? Because the energy is just perpetually wasted.
Because, like we said, no one is spending that much time focused on us.
Let's use that spilled drink analogy. You spill a drink at a gathering. For a moment, okay, you have attention, people might help you clean up.
Sure.
But how long do the actual witnesses think about it?
A few seconds. Maybe a minute. Then they're right back to their own conversations, their own worries. They've moved on.
Meanwhile, you might replay that embarrassing moment for days or weeks.
Oh, for sure. You cringe every time you think of it. You might even avoid the next gathering because you're afraid of being the person who spilled the drink.
You are carrying this heavy, traumatic memory that virtually no one else is even holding.
And if we connect this to the big picture, the biological reason is evolutionary. We're hardwired to care about this stuff.
Right, because fitting in with the tribe was survival.
It was survival. Rejection meant death. It meant the loss of shared resources, of protection. So we are wired to avoid standing out. That ancient fear mechanism, the one screaming, "Don't get exiled," it was essential 10,000 years ago.
But the world changed faster than our brains did.
Exactly. That's the crucial connection. That ancient part of your brain, your threat assessment center, it's still sounding the alarm. Be careful, don't stand out, don't get rejected. And it's compounded by the negativity bias, which makes the pain of potential rejection feel so much greater than the pleasure of fitting in.
So for many people, that alarm just never turns off.
Never. Even when they reach a time in life where they are fundamentally safe and secure.
Okay, so here is where the source materials suggest true liberation begins.
This is the turning point.
The moment you stop trying to please everyone and release the need for that imagined external validation, you get all that wasted energy back. Not because you stop caring about people.
No, that's not it at all.
But because you stop wasting your time and your life managing imaginary judgments.
You can look at extreme examples, like in Elon Musk. When he pursued ideas like electric cars or reusable rockets, he was met with ridicule, skepticism.
People thought he was crazy.
They did. If he had spent his resources trying to manage those thousands of external perceptions, trying to make everyone comfortable with his choices, he would have just edited himself down to nothing. He'd have done nothing interesting.
That's a grand example. But how does this scale down to the mundane internal resistance that you, the listener, face every day?
It scales perfectly. It means saying what you actually think in a low-stakes meeting instead of just defaulting to the safest, most agreeable response.
Or wearing something you love.
Exactly. Wearing clothes that you love, but that some internalized critic tells you are too bright or not age-appropriate. It means pursuing a hobby others think is silly.
So the central question is always,
are you making this choice for you, or are you making it because you are afraid of what people will think or say?
And the really freeing truth is that most people are simply too busy.
Too busy living their own chaotic, wonderful, noisy lives, fighting their own internal battles to fixate on yours.
When that sinks in, when you truly get that others aren't keeping this detailed, permanent record of your flaws,
the pressure just drops. The fear of judgment loses its teeth. The stakes become manageable because they become internal.
But now we hit the uncomfortable consequence.
Yeah, this is the hard part.
Because once the imaginary audience is gone, you're left facing something much harder than judgment.
Yourself.
And the burden of true choice. Freedom sounds fantastic, but in practice, it's terrifying. Because freedom means inescapable personal responsibility.
Absolutely. You lose the comfortable emotional crutch of external validation. You can no longer hide behind what you thought others wanted you to do. You have to own your choices and live with them.
And for people who've been living by a script their whole lives, that must feel dizzying.
It feels like falling.
Yeah.
Because you're abandoning the prescribed path, but that feeling, that's the beginning of something real.
I think that's what the sources mean by the quiet erosion of self. It happens so slowly. Through 1,000 moments where we say yes, but we mean no, or choose the safety of the script over the truth of what we want.
And people reach their 60s, 70s, 80s and realize they never actually asked the most important question.
Who am I really when no one's watching?
Exactly. They spent so long playing roles, good employee, accommodating partner, dutiful child, that the real person underneath just got lost in the performance.
And this leads to a subtle, but a really profound form of suffering.
It's not malicious self-deception. It's more of a cooperation with illusions. You stay in a job you despise, not because you have no other choice, but because the uncertainty of change is just too terrifying.
You maintain hollow relationships because a difficult conversation feels too uncomfortable.
Right. And that accumulates into a specific type of exhaustion. It's described as this emotional exhaustion that rest doesn't fix.
Because your life looks fine on paper. You followed the script perfectly,
Yeah.
but inside there's just this persistent, low-grade sense of hollowness.
And this is where we have to differentiate self-care from what you might call soul care. Self-care is rest and recovery. But if the exhaustion is coming from a deep misalignment between your actions and your values,
The hollowness.
then all the rest in the world won't help. You've been running on autopilot for so long, driven by external fear, that you forgot where the manual controls are.
So how do you switch back?
Yeah.
How do you rebuild a life without an audience and start trusting your own compass after decades of ignoring it?
It has to start with tiny diagnostic choices. With every decision you make, big or small, you ask yourself that simple, brutally honest question.
Am I doing this for me because it aligns with my values? Or am I doing this because I'm afraid of what people will think if I don't?
Right, like the next time you're invited to a family event that drains you, just acknowledge it. Are you going out of genuine connection and love, or out of a fear of obligation, drama, or critique?
But wait, we do need some social feedback, don't we? If we totally disregard what anyone thinks, aren't we just going to become narcissists? Or completely socially dysfunctional?
That's the essential work of discernment, and that's the key to sovereignty. Some people's opinions do matter. The people who know you deeply, whose feedback is informed by love and wisdom and context, those voices are worth listening to.
But the vast majority of judgment you worry about
Is meaningless noise. It's coming from internalized fear, or from projection, or from total strangers. Discernment is the filter that separates the two.
And when you install that filter, you become clearer. And the outcome of that is surprising. People respect you more.
They do. Because authenticity is incredibly rare and it's magnetic. You might lose some arrangements, the roles you were playing for specific people, but you clear space for real connections with people who actually want to know you.
Not the character you've been performing.
That is the ultimate goal. When you've done the hard work of defining yourself, your values, your boundaries, your non-negotiables, other people's opinions just stop sticking.
They don't disappear.
No, external judgment never disappears. But when you know who you are, those opinions become just information, and they're ultimately powerless to dictate your life.
So what does this all mean for the long run? The final perspective our sources offer is that later life can actually be the most free time of your existence. Not because things get easier, but because you suddenly realize you have less to lose. The gift of limited time brings this fierce clarity about what truly matters.
You're not focused on what might happen 40 years from now. You are focused on the authenticity of today.
So, as a concrete experiment for you for the next week, try this little mental exercise. Keep a quiet internal note of one non-urgent item, a choice, an opinion that you usually edit for others, and just refuse to edit it.
It could be something really small.
It could be a simple statement at work, a piece of clothing, a choice of where to eat lunch, and just ask yourself, was this mine or was this for approval? Awareness is that critical first step to reclaiming your sovereignty.
You have to know where you've been giving your power away. Because understanding that no one is truly watching doesn't make life meaningless. It hands life back to you, free of the pressure of an imagined audience. Living authentically without needing anyone's permission is the most revolutionary thing you can do. Because the truth is, you never needed permission in the first place.